Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz guitarist and educator Ron Jackson. We caught up with him in New Jersey in late April 2020 during the coronavirus lockdown to talk about this strange new world and his latest 2019 CD, Standards and Other Songs. He was born in the Philippines, moved all around America, and began playing the guitar at the age of 11. He has quite a story in jazz. Get to know him.
Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it. Kind of an extraordinary time to talk about jazz, but I think it's probably necessary.
Oh, definitely.
Talk to me a little bit about any projects, anything that you're doing during this COVID-19 quarantine.
I'm trying to get on my social media and, everything that you can do basically to help, to keep my name out there. And, I've been practicing. I've been, applying for grants and stuff like that because I don't have any work. I don't have, and once we go back to work, I don't even know if I can perform because, all the social distancing measures, it's going to have it hard. It's going to be hard to have an audience. If they say you can only have 10 people in the place, Also, I've been doing stuff online. Like I've been working on my social media a lot. So I've been doing a lot like Instagram lives. Like kind of what you're doing, but I have like a little show now on Sundays called Sunday Night Jazz with Ron Jackson, where I perform, I play the guitar, on Instagram Live, and then I invite guests to play a song or talk to me, or I interview them, or we have a little informal discussion. Just things like that, trying to improve everything, trying to improve my YouTube, YouTube presentation online, my Facebook, all that kind of stuff. It's just whatever I could do that has nothing to do almost with music, but it helps. This time you can't meet anybody. Also, I've been working on trying to get more online students, and also I have a website that's for jazz guitar that it's like a subscription site. So, I'm trying to get that updated. Things like that I would never have time to do if I was busy running around playing gigs and teaching and stuff, or touring. So that's basically what I'm trying to do right now.
It's interesting because there's a lot of people that I've been able to interview and talk to that I would have not had the time, or they wouldn't have had the time because of all of this. It almost seems like there's a level of this where people are kind of recalibrating and, just kind of resetting themselves.
Exactly.
So, let's go back and find out how this jazz started for you. You were born in the Philippines. Talk to me a little bit about your childhood and kind of how all of this came about for you.
Well, I was born in the Philippines. My father was a Marine, so he was fighting in Vietnam. And I was born there on a military base, and I lived on and off there until I was about 5. Then we moved back to the States, and we lived all over the place. We moved around to Texas, Ohio, California, Oregon, Hawaii, everywhere. Virginia. My brother was born in Quantico Naval Station. And then, and then basically settled down in Massachusetts when I was in high school, or a little bit before high school, and that's why I picked up guitar around 11 years old. And one of my early inspirations was Pat Metheny, actually, because one of my high school friends loved Pat Metheny. So we actually went to go see him. He was doing big concerts back then when I was in high school. We went to see him in Boston, the theater. And I saw him open up with Miles Davis. So, I started getting into guitar around that age, and I was into rock, actually, in the beginning, and then moved to jazz. Like my, junior and senior year in high school, then went to Berklee College of Music. And I attended Berklee College of Music for a couple of years, and I moved to Paris for a couple of years, then moved to New York. That's basically, my what I did as far as traveling and stuff like that, and growing up. But I was into, I was a rocker at the beginning. I used to see actually a lot of rock concerts when I was a kid, a lot of concerts, actually. I was into, the rock concert culture, partying and all that stuff. But,
Right on.
well, I love rock music actually still, so, I got to jazz more in high school. I had some friends that were into, jazz. And also, I was self-taught. So it was in the town I was living in outside of Boston. It was small and there was hardly anybody that really played music or especially jazz. Or, so, I really got my education when I went to Berklee College of Music. I got my butt kicked with all these people from all over the world that were playing great, these Japanese guys that were like playing, fast stuff, it was just like crazy. So I got my butt kicked there. I'm still getting my butt kicked. So,
nice.
Yeah.
So what have you learned from the legends? You've been around a lot of heavy people in the world of jazz, Randy Weston, Benny Golson, Ralph Peterson. What have you learned from the legends that's really reverberated with you throughout all these years?
I don't know. The most important thing really, I used to have a lot of confidence problems. So, just be confident in what you do, be yourself. Don't care what anybody thinks. Just be true to the music. So that's what I've been trying to do. And just be, just focus on myself and my career. Sometimes I would get sidetracked because, when you're a musician, like trying to make a living, sometimes, I would start doing stuff like playing Broadway shows and trying to make money. Especially if you're a jazz artist, the most important thing is just to try to be, to stick, the thing is to stick with it first. It's just hard out here. It's hard to be a musician, to make a living. So you got to stick with it. That's the most important thing. And just be yourself and do the best job you possibly can, and work at it all the time. And I'm like constantly doing something, working on my career and my music, That's the most important thing, One of the things that I learned was that I should have, I have another record. I have a record that just came out about a year ago, and the most important thing is I haven't been releasing enough records during my career because I was always sidetracked. I would release a record and then wait about 4 or 5 years or 3 or 4 years. I got to release a album every couple of years now, at least, And keep it rolling and just be myself and just do my thing and and just be Ron Jackson. That's what I've learned so far,
Yeah. So let's say you have a dream tonight and you run into your younger self, like right when you were going professional, and you could give yourself an advice. What would you say?
Well, that's one of the things I would say is be yourself. Meet people. Try to play as much as you can. Be humble. One of the things I actually do this a lot, which is go hang out, and just check out music. I haven't been doing that as much, as I've gotten older. Think about sometimes you think about the present instead of your future sometimes when you're younger. So, which is important. Like when I was much younger, I was starving and, trying to play and, get jobs and, and it was just, I was struggling. I was young. I had a kid already, in New York City. And, one of the most, the thing that's most important is to be focused and keep on your own path. Actually, the thing I was trying to do was trying to get more sideman work, but it was actually more important to actually be a leader, develop my own name as a leader. A good example is Pat Metheny. He's not really known as being a sideman with anybody. You know what I mean? He just became a leader in his own right since he started, really. And that's really important to develop your name. And think about things like that. As far as career is concerned. We talk about playing, that's a whole different story. There's things I could have worked on in my playing, of course, like being more myself, instead of trying to be like, I don't know, more like George Benson or Wes Montgomery or whoever was influenced by. You know what I mean? So, those are things establishing good contacts when you're younger. Things you don't learn in college, like when you study, they teach you all this stuff about technique and they don't teach you things about life, you know, like surviving. Because, you know, a lot of people graduate from music schools and study or wherever, but a lot of them, you know, stop playing music or have a hard time making a living doing this, you know. So you just gotta be, you know, the thing is, I mean, I think my career, you know, is fine actually. You know, it's just, I could have even been more established, I think, in my own mind, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I mean, like, I guess like everybody, you know, it's not easy. I mean, there's thousands of guitar players out here. I might be more known than some others, you know. I guess, you know. So, but
yeah.
you know, you can't be think. I can't even, you know. Sometimes those kind of things you can't, you know, you really can't think about either. You just got to be focused and just do, you know, it'll come. You know, things will come if you just are focused in a way. Like it's funny. This week I'm sitting at home, and then I'm going to have 3 radio interviews this week. I never even initiated the interviews, you know. So that's kind of interesting, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you hear about me? I'm just trying to figure that out.
Have what?
About interviewing me.
Oh, I found you on Apple Music. You know, I've just been kind of pouring over myself, discovering all kinds of new artists, and I can swear I've had you on the show a few years ago. So
Really?
I try my hardest to put the largest variety of musicians on my show that I can find, both current and, you know, even old school. I like to mince everything up, so I'm pretty good about curating and looking out for new musicians and music.
I'm trying to see if I see you anywhere. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's really funny. My last album that came out, I had the radio promoters, Groove Marketing, work on it. So I don't know if they sent anything to your podcast or anything. You know, I don't know if you know those guys.
No, and I'm on a lot of lists, so I'm all for getting on any list that I can get, because that's half the time how I find out about new material coming out, and it's easy for me to reach out for interviews and all of that. So, but I have a bad habit sometimes of leapfrogging and just going right to the artist. So that's kind of
okay. Oh, I see.
So,
good.
But
yeah.
Let me ask you this: what do you like best about being a musician?
Oh, I like the freedom and not having to go to an. I mean, one of my most dreaded things is to be able to go to like an office in a cubicle, working for somebody from 9 to 5. You know, I like the freedom. You know, of just being self-employed, basically. You know, and you know, waking up when well, don't get me wrong, I have to wake up sometimes. You know, to be someplace, of course. But you know, not having to, you know, just being free of just to be, you know, to create music and be myself, you know. To me, that would be I don't know, I wouldn't want to call it hell, but it would be hell just to, you know, drive to work and you know, someplace, you know, there's some investment bank in Manhattan. I don't know, you know what I mean. It's also one of the things is that I always tell people, this is the only thing I know how to do now, is be a musician. You know, I've been doing it for so long, I don't know what else I could do, actually. You know? It would be kind of weird. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things I do for myself that's not like musician stuff, like all this stuff with, you know, using, you know, software and, you know, you know, writing programs and, you know, social media stuff and all that. That's stuff that I don't want to be doing. But even though I have a manager now, it's like, you know, I still have to do a lot of stuff. Still, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But that's the thing I like about it. You know, I mean, of course, it could be, you know, it could be times when there's no work, like right now, and it can be scary. You know, because no one's making, you know, no one's working actually. I mean, I'm not the only one, not only musicians, but I think it's even hitting the artist community even harder now that you can't go out and perform, you know?
Yeah,
so now,
yeah.
And it's, you know, so I'm trying to develop my online presence anyway. I mean, I have some people I know who are involved with a lot of stuff online. You know, like one of my friends, he has one of the biggest guitar instructional websites, you know, on the planet. on YouTube, and he, and basically that's all he did anyway. So he would hardly perform out, but he makes most of his income just from from YouTube and Instagram and just selling stuff on his website from all the people that follow him, which are millions actually. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the first guys to do that actually. And it's not, it's not really playing music, but it's like instruction videos, and it's like another way of. I mean, I'm an instructor myself too, but so I'm just, you got to figure out different ways now, to continue making a living doing this. But the thing is, it can be scary, but you have, this is the only thing I can do. So I enjoy this, and it's good. I meet new people like yourself, and and hopefully people will listen to what I say, and if they're thinking about doing this, they'll have some thoughts about how to approach, being a musician. So, and the most important thing for me right now is to try to practice. I don't practice as much as I ever used to. I used to practice 5-8 hours a day at one point when I had a lot more time. So I'm practicing a lot more now. Now I'm not that much, maybe 2 or 4 hours a day, which is great. But it's great, but also it's not great because I don't have there's no work. I had so many jobs canceled, since this, and I don't even know when my next gig is.
Yeah, it's staggering how many.
It's funny because I was supposed to go to Denver to play in the fall in September. It was like it was called the Rocky Mountain Arch Talk Festival, sponsored by this company called Hendrickson Amps. And I just heard that they canceled already in September. So wow. That was something I was looking forward to. So right now, just trying to, interview or do whatever I need to do to keep my name going out there. And to have people listen to my music at least, or meet, or take a lesson with me, or buy my music or whatever,
So, what when we do get back to live music, when that happens, what do you hope we realize from this COVID-19 quarantine experience? What do you hope both musician and the crowd gets?
Well, I hope people come back and listen to music in person. But it's funny because I hope that, but I'm even scared to even go out and perform because I'm scared of catching COVID-19. Especially around here, it's really scary in New York. It's like 1,000 people dying a day or more. At one point there was that many people dying a day. So I hope people can come back out and go see concerts. I think it's changed already. Because if I'm thinking that I'm scared to even go out and play, and if we go out and play, there's only 10 people because of social distancing. Like they say, you can't have a crowd. You're gonna have to be separated, and you're gonna have to wear a mask. I think it's just gonna take time till we have a vaccine. I think I'm hoping that it will go back to normal, but I know it's gonna take a while. I think it's gonna take until there's a vaccine. It's gonna be hard to perform live. I heard Pat Metheny was just on tour because I follow his page, and there's a couple of musicians that I know that play, that play with him, and they canceled the tour because of this. They were on tour just right now, I heard. So and I had a tour to go to Japan with somebody in April, and I don't blame people for not going out. Actually, I think the whole the way it's been handled hasn't been good too. So we should have done this a long time ago. And I feel like once we find a vaccine, I think everything will be fine, go back to normal. But hopefully people will learn from this. Well, not only people, but also how everybody handled this situation. That we can, if something happens like this again, we don't have to put these extreme measures in. So we catch it early. And stop this from spreading quick, and have a plan, No one had a plan for this, and I even, it's really funny. When China actually had its first case of this COVID-19 stuff, I had a ticket to go fly to. I was supposed to go play Japan on April 10th, I think. I had a flight going out. As soon as that happened, I had a flight that was supposed to go to China. They canceled my flight, and I was thinking, wow, what's happening in China, man? I'm scared. I hope it doesn't get here. Now, I'm thinking this already, and I'm a musician. I said, this gets here, this is going to be messed up. They're going to stop this now. But no one even did anything. So how could I know better than all our officials here? You know what I mean? It's kind of weird that I saw this coming already because of what happened to me, and no one took this seriously. You know what I mean? And we have thousands of people dying here in New York, you know? I live in New Jersey, and Jersey's like number 2. The town I'm living in right now is, about a month ago, we were supposed to self-quarantine here because we had the most cases in the state of New Jersey in that town I live in.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm taking this seriously. I mean, there's a lot of people infected that don't even know it. I mean, I might be affected for all I know because I've had symptoms of, coughing and stuff a little bit here and there, like stuff I always have anyway from used to being a smoker before, But I mean, you don't really know. So no one knows about anything. So that's why, I think it's not going to be normal to go back as a musician just because of all this. Because, I mean, I want to be tested to see if I have antibodies. I want to be able to go back to work, too, because I'm scared to go out and get catches. I think that's what people are doing. People are doing this anyway, I think. No one's going out because they're scared, and I don't blame them, And especially, I don't know how hard-headed you are guys out there, but especially here, it's scary out here, So, I don't think people realize that there's some places it's not much, but it's been, it's being reported now that it's everywhere, really. No one knows, because we're not testing or keeping track of this. So that's the thing I'm worried about. I'm worried about going out myself, and I want to make sure I'm safe. And then, if I have the antibodies, then I'm not scared to go out. You know what I mean? But then, I'll still be, But I think everybody has to be tested. And I think once we get that together and get a vaccine, I think it'll go back to normal. But it's going to take a couple years. I think it's going to take
yeah. Well, the one thing, I did see that big concert they had, the One World concert the other night, and, I cherry pick what all of these officials say because half the time it's so dark or negative, I don't want to hear it, or it's so weird. I'm not quite sure they even know what they're saying. But the one thing I will say definitively that was said that makes the most sense, Bill and Melinda Gates were on there, and Bill said the only way the world's going to return to where we were before, if March 12th even exists anymore, is a vaccination, and we should be able to expedite that and have that by November.
I hope so.
That's what he said. So, yeah, I do too. But again, there's so many what ifs. There's so many, when you're dealing with biology, that's something you can't fast track. Now, if you want to fast track and make an airplane fast, there's probably a chance that if you get the biggest corporations in the world to do that, it'll happen. But when you're talking about biology and trials and test runs and all of that, you just can't rush it, So,
I know. I know. So, I'm just hoping, in my business, it's all about people in person. I've been trying to tour more now. That's what I've been trying, And now I can't even do that because of this, because, of the business I'm in, where now I have to try to reach people on the internet, by web, by different forms on the internet, Twitch or whatever you might use, YouTube. So right now I'm going to be working on that and then trying to figure out how I can go back and perform, Like I had a big event like in April at Columbia University, a tribute to Randy Weston. That got canceled. I had a big show with, I had supposed to go to Japan. I had a show with my daughter in a big performing arts center here in New Jersey. Everything got canceled. Everything. So, and they're supposed to be rescheduled, but when? No one's going to go out. No one's going to go out. I don't even want to go. That's how scared I am, So, but that's, I'm trying to be positive. I'm just trying to use my time now to get other things happening better, like I told you, my social media. I have my own little Instagram show that, people are watching a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
I didn't plan to do that. But you know what? I think but the thing is, these are things that some people have been doing already that are really established online. You know what I mean? That right now, this doesn't matter to them. You know,
right?
They don't perform out anyway. You know.
Yeah,
so,
I dig it. So let me ask you this: why do you love jazz?
That's a good question. I mean, first for me, jazz is a language. You know, you have to. Jazz to me is improvisation. You know, how to play over the changes and whatever style you might have as far as an improviser. And I think I like it because it's creative. There's different forms of jazz that I enjoy too. That I want to, be better at, of course. And I like the freedom of jazz. You know, I like the tradition also. And I like the in a way the intellectual aspect of it too, you know. And, makes your audience has to think a little bit more about it. Even though my last album where I actually took some songs that were pop and made them for jazz, when people hear that who don't listen to jazz, they're attracted to that because they hear songs differently than they're used to hearing, and then that attracts them to jazz music. But the thing about jazz now is it's like the smallest market margin in music. So unfortunately, maybe before classical and before classical, but anyway. But I mean, I don't know. I got attracted to jazz before, and I just like the whole creativity of it. You know. And also the technique. You have to have certain skills. I mean, not everybody has amazing technique, but jazz is like. I had had discussions with this technique. It has nothing to do with playing jazz, even, because there are people who are really great musicians in jazz who don't have that much technique. Like real, like I don't know, virtuoso, fast, whatever technique, but they're still great jazz musicians. That I consider.
Yeah.
But they're really good at the language. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know why. I mean, sometimes I think the same thing. Why do I love jazz? Why do I play this? Because it's hard, too, sometimes, to be a musician, a jazz musician particularly. But, like I said before, this is the only thing I know how to do for now, so. And I do play other styles, too. Don't get me wrong, I can play rock and different stuff, calypso, reggae, folk. I mean, I can play all kinds of styles, but I'm known for, my main thing is playing jazz, so I'll stick with it for now.
Right on. Well, everything's going to come down to this. Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fan base, but you're living your life. Who do you think you are?
I don't know yet. I'm still working on that.
Nice.
I mean, I'm still working on everything, so yeah, that's a hard thing to say. That's a hard question. I'm just trying to be myself now, just do what I do, focus on me, not be selfish, of course. I mean, I'm not trying to be selfish about that. I'm just trying to not be swayed or influenced by other music or other musicians, just play what I like to do, do what I like to do, just be myself. I think that's the most important thing about jazz, is just to be yourself, and that's what jazz is all about,
Right on. Well, hey, man, thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate you talking about the music, about this COVID-19 world, and hopefully we get back to it sooner than later.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thanks for having me. I can't wait to listen to the show.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in the Philippines, New York, New Jersey, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Ron for his time, music, and class. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.